We've got a bumper plus a bunch of other goodies. I'm not sure.
What's in there?
I'm not really sure what else they stuck in here. We're gonna try and just pull as much stuff off of this tonight as possible. This might be the most bulletproof way to preserve your sliders that we've found so far. All right, so the bumper is already off to a rough start. There's just a lot of tight tolerances that we got to work through to get these brackets into place.
Cool. And where's it gonna rest?
So I got something else to show you.
Let's see it.
Let's go. Welcome to this random episode of Lifestyle Overland. Today we're going to be building out Mama Bear's GX.
Yes.
She's got a big trip coming up Thursday, so we have only a little bit of time to get all this stuff onto the GX, so let's get busy. So over here, we got something that's already been taken care of for you by the folks over at Inyati, courtesy of Turtleback. And these are the Victory 4x4
man.
GX460 sliders. Look at these bad
Those
boys.
are hefty.
Look at that.
All inside and out.
So
that
you'll
looks awesome.
actually have a step, whereas in the past, we've not had a step.
Yeah, that'll be an adjustment.
Having that roll bar, so.
Yeah.
And then it's also got place for your step lights here as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then high lift jack points as well.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
they thought of everything on this one.
Cool. Love it.
Let's get them home.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's run you through real quick what all we're working on today. We got the Snowmaster 60-liter single zone, low profile unit back in the back. We went with this because we don't use the dual zone and the 4Runner quite as often as we thought we would. So we're going with just the single zone. The big part about this though, Sarah wanted something a little bit more profile, so it's easier for her to get in and get all of her goodies out for all these awesome recipes that she's been whipping up.
Yeah.
Then we've also got the skid plates from Victory 4x4. These are the aluminum versions, and let me tell you right now, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but these things are beefy. We always ran the factory skids on the 4Runner, so this is our first evolution running a true skid plate, so she can go and get crazy with it. One of the things that I'm really excited about is this slider design that they've come up with for the GX460. It's very unique, but it's also very functional. It actually gives you a fairly decent sized step, whereas in the past with the 4Runner, we've always had that roll of the bar on the Bud Bill sliders. So looking forward to playing with these a little bit more. And then topping it all off, quite literally, is the Victory 4x4 roof rack, which is probably the first thing we're going to attack first, get that thing assembled and kind of go from there. So I'm pretty excited about this build. It's been a while since we've done
it's
something,
been a long time coming.
something like this. So it's time to get going. But you ready?
Well, we're missing one more thing.
What's that?
What's going in the front?
Oh, this little guy right here. So this is a Smitty built winch. This is the X2O winch. Now it has a steel cable. We're going to pull this off and replace it with a synthetic line.
Okay.
But this is the same winch we've been running on the 4Runner. Been happy with it. It's affordable, and so we're going to give it another try.
Cool.
Yeah.
And where's it gonna rest?
So I got something else to show you.
Let's see it.
Let's go. All right, so this pallet right here is from the good folks at Ironman 4x4 America. We've got a bumper plus a bunch of other goodies. I'm not sure.
What's in there?
I'm not really sure what else they stuck in here. So this is kind of like a little bit of Christmas for us right now. So let's dig into it and see what we got. All right, so working through yanking out all the old skid plates. Sarah's over there studying on how to assemble the roof rack. So we're gonna try and just pull as much stuff off of this tonight as possible. She's gonna get her head in the game over there, and then we'll come back tomorrow with a solid plan, see how far we can get.
And then once you have it cut to length,
All right, guys, so if you're gonna be installing this roof rack, you're gonna have a 1/4-20 tap on hand, because what we're finding is a bit of shavings and the powder coating is still stuck in there. So definitely clean that out before you start assembling. The last thing you wanna do is snap off a bolt in one of these aluminum rails.
All right, so I've got most of the roof rack built. I ended up just watching most of the video for the Toyota 4Runner Victory 4x4 roof rack installation, and that got me this far. So now I'm just gonna finish up putting the rest of it together, so we'll be ready to put it on tomorrow. What'd you get done?
Well, I got the first two pieces of the skid plates in. It took a little bit of research to figure out exactly how all the stuff falls into place, but you know, one of the things that stood out to me about Victory was they had a lot of really good install videos on their website, and so just sat down for a few minutes, and when you actually read the instructions, it's amazing how fast things go. So we're rocking and rolling. Yeah, so we're rocking and rolling. Maybe we'll finish these up first thing in the morning. So. All right, guys, well, good morning. We are back at Turtleback Trailers again today. We got a little bit more done last night. We got the mid skid and the final skid installed on the GX. All we lack is the fuel tank skid itself. But first, we've got to get the sliders in place before we start bolting that on. So how did your rack assembly go?
It went great. She's ready to go.
Already?
Yeah,
So you beat me.
I did. Well, not technically, because yours is actually on the vehicle. Mine is still on the ground.
True. Okay.
But I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, so just real quick, I wanted to tell you what we did to these sliders. And this might be the most bulletproof way to preserve your sliders that we found so far, is we actually had these powder coated with a zinc powder coat, number one, and then it was sprayed with an Inyati bed liner or urethane protectant. We did this in the 4Runner after quite a long time of having just these janky looking, rusted up, scarred up sliders, and they're still going strong. And places where we have scraped the bed liner off from rocks and things like that, you can see a thin streak of rust, but that zinc powder coat stops it dead in its tracks. It looks really good, and we get a lot of traction when we're moving about the sliders trying to put stuff on the roof rack. So if you really want to do it right, and I'd like to see more slider manufacturers pick up on this, if you want to do it right and make it last a proverbial lifetime, check out doing a zinc coating with the bed liner on top. All right, so we're having to make some adjustments to this bracket. For whatever reason, it's not allowing us to perfectly center the slider on the passenger side. So we've got to cut into these slots and get about a 1/4 inch more play so that we can get it aligned just right. All right guys, well we finally got this slider on. It was a bit of a struggle trying to get everything to line up just right. I can't complain too much though, because I knew we were introducing a little bit of variable by spraying this with the bed liner, and it was also on the mating surface for those brackets. So if one side was a little thicker than the other, it can throw things off a little bit. So maybe next time, if you have your own sprayed, have them mask off that particular area where the bracket's going to go, just to make sure that everything stays within tolerance. We had to do a lot of finagling just to get the main brackets onto the frame, but again, it might have had something to do with a little bit of Inyati or bed liner back here where we made it to the slider. So a little bit frustrated, but I think it's partially my fault too. But they look freaking amazing, and can't wait to get the other side on. All right, well, good morning, guys. We are back at Turtleback Trailers here Monday morning. We gotta get this thing done. Coming down to crunch time. Sarah's gonna be wrapping up the roof rack, and I'm gonna start ripping off this beautiful front bumper right here to put something new on. A little bit more protection, so let's get after it. All right, so we just wrapped up installing the Victory 4x4 roof rack, and now we're going to get the awning prep to go on. Now this is the one off of the 4Runner. This is the 270. Kind of got tired of opening up with that hatch and things like that, so we're going to put a 180 on the 4Runner, put this guy on here because of the barn door. So these brackets are just a little bit too short, so we've come up with a solution to make it work with the 23.0 270. Let me show you. All right, so the bumper is already off to a rough start. There's just a lot of tight tolerances that we got to work through to get these brackets into place. And it's jammed right up against the radiator as well. So I'm trying to work this thing down where it's nice and smooth. I'm not going to cause any rubs or punctures over time. But yeah, I don't think LEXUS really allowed for mounting a big old bumper on it. All right, so here we are on day 3 of the GX build. Now last night we stayed late. We got the bumper 95% of the way there. Came back in this morning, did some final alignment, a little bit of trimming, and got it just perfect. So now we're working on getting the electrical systems hooked up. So we have a parking light, a turn signal light, fog lights. I'm gonna wire those directly into the factory system. It's always a concern, especially when you're introducing new electrical components to a factory system. So we're going to kind of test these things before we make it final. But if it works, we'll save a lot of headache with relays and things like that in place. We've also got the roof rack to finish up today and just a few odds and ends. So we're almost there. We're getting the bulk of it taken care of today, and the rest of it will just be gravy from here on out. So let's get after it.
Guys, we are finished with stage 1 of the LEXUS build, and I could not be happier with how it looks. It is no longer soccer mom car, it is officially an overlanding rig, and I love it. But first, I want to thank Turtleback Trailers so much for letting us use their facilities, some of their tools, and even some of their manpower now and again. But I am super excited for how this build has turned out, and I'm really excited that I got to be a part of it this time too. I loved being able to work with Kevin and learn how to build things and how to put things together, how to problem solve, and even how to work together sometimes too. But I had a great time with this build. I had a great time learning so much, and I'm so excited about what we're gonna do next.
And I had a great time working with Sarah as well. It was really cool to see her just get in, get dirty, start putting stuff together, taking initiative, learning about her rig, because there's going to be times where it's going to be just her on the trail. So knowing how it all went together is going to be critical. And we encourage all other overlanders to do the same thing. Know your vehicle. Even if you're not installing everything, this is a good chance to learn about your vehicle and be ready for your own fixes on the trail. Also want to thank Ironman 4x4 for this big, beautiful front bumper that we've got here. Also Victory 4x4 for the sliders, the skid plates, and the roof rack, as well as 23-0 for the awning that's going to be running up on the roof rack. And then we also have to thank Snowmaster for that huge 60-liter fridge that we're going to be mounting in the back here in just a few minutes. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this build. We've got so much more to come, so many cool parts and pieces that we're looking forward to installing and testing and reviewing and giving you guys feedback on.
Definitely. And now we've got just a few more finishing touches because I'm taking it on its first trip, and it's a girls only trip. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go.